Morning, ladies. It's Monday, March 30th. Today, I want us to go over the chapter 15 and chapter 16 reflection questions I had you guys do to keep up with the reading. In our book, what's our book? To Kill a Mockingbird. That's right. I'm going to go over the answers that I have. I want you to take this video and make sure that you have these answers integrated with the ones that you did already and took pictures of and sent to me. Then tomorrow, Tuesday the 31st, I've scheduled a Zoom meeting for our class from 1 to 1:45 p.m. It's mostly a check-in, and also your homework for tonight is to read chapter 17 and do the reflection questions, which I'm going to post when I post this video. So if you have any questions or comments or concerns, please contact me through Jupiter or through my email. Okay, so let's get started. So the first question for chapter 15 was, what was the sickening comic aspect of Atticus's exchange with the small mob of men? What does this show us about the men in the small mob and about Atticus? Now, on a later reflection, Scout, as an adult, Scout, the narrator, realizes that the whole thing was completed in mere whispers because Atticus told the men to be quiet and not to wake up Tom Robinson. That's what's so funny. They come there to kill him, and he's telling them to keep it quiet. This is ironic, of course, because these men want to kill Tom, yet they follow Atticus's instructions and keep their voices low. I love Atticus. This shows that the men in the mob are basically good guys who respect Atticus. They are moved around by their emotions a lot, but they ultimately don't hurt anybody. The scene also shows us that Atticus is a powerful force, right? People listen to him and follow his direction, even against their first emotional instincts, okay? So it shows us about people when they get together in a mob, right? And it shows us about Atticus. Okay, number 2, why does Jem openly defy Atticus and refuse to leave? Well, Jem knows that his father is in danger, and he refuses to abandon him. We love Jem's intensity, don't we? Sometimes. Jem's defiance shows that he's growing into his manhood. He's a few years older than Scout, right? And he's having to become cognizant of these things that are going on a lot earlier, I think, than Atticus would want. But this is where he is. But he's growing into a young, but still a manhood. And he's doing the right thing by staying, isn't he? We don't know what would have happened. Jem is a driving force. He's a force with which to be reckoned that needs to be tempered by his father's reflection. But he's a young man, right? And they can sometimes get out of hand, especially when they feel strongly about things. But that's one thing that we really love about Jem. All right, number 3, what does Scout's childish attempt at conversation accomplish? Explain. Scout diffuses the whole situation. There's this intensity that her normal living room conversation brings to a very strange situation. She brings a normality, a normalcy to a very charged scene. She's mostly responsible for ensuring that no violence occurs outside of the jail that night. It's an amazing scene. Why was Atticus so affectionate toward Jem even after Jem disobeyed him? He's such a good dad. Okay. Jem did the right thing and followed his own conscience, even when he was directed by an authority figure to do the opposite. We're going to see, as this continues to play out, how authority isn't always just, and justice isn't always authoritative. Yeah, we don't need that one, Batman. The willingness to do the difficult but right thing is exactly what Atticus has been trying to teach his children all along. And he sees that his son is absorbing this lesson, so he's pleased. When you have a child who starts to make the truth his own, or to engage in the truth and be able to understand it and live it in his own life, a good parent can't help but be pleased. And Atticus is the best of parents in some respects, in a lot of respects, right? Some people say he's idealized, but we'll go along with it for now, okay? That is all the questions I gave you for chapter 15. My goodness. All right, moving on to chapter 16. Chapter 16, number 1. What does Scout learn about the mob mentality? She certainly learned that a mob is made up of individual people who can still be reasoned with if it doesn't go too far, right? If you can convince one person like Mr. Cunningham to see things from a different perspective, you might have a chance of being able to persuade the whole crowd. It doesn't always happen, right? As we saw from the video of terrible things that have been done in our own American history. Okay. Number 2, Mr. Dolphus Raymond is evidently a complicated and interesting person. Describe his way of life and comment on its effect upon the town. Okay, so Mr. Dolphus Raymond is what? He's white and he's rich, right? And that's the top of the food chain for us, right? From the for the schematics that we had in our first test. But he chooses to live in the colored part of town with an African American woman who has given him many mixed children. He drinks liquor out of a Coca-Cola bottle hidden in a paper bag so he does not offend the very proper ladies who are walking around. He's an independent soul, independent person who doesn't care what the rest of Maycomb thinks about his unconventional ways. Interestingly, it reads as though Jem, through Atticus's influence, no doubt, respects him. So Jem's giving us a lesson, but Mr. Dolphus Raymond is considered on paper, the top of the food chain, but he chooses to live a different life, and we see the effects of that. And that Jem can see what's going on and understands it, and is able to explain it not only to Scout, but through Scout to us. Right? 3. Why did Mr. Dolphus Raymond's fiancée die? What does this show the reader about life in Maycomb? So when his fiancée found out that Dolphus was having an affair with an African American woman on the side, she kills herself with a gunshot blast to the head. It's pretty intense. So it's a hard read. So for this woman, there was no greater humiliation, showing that in this culture, in Maycomb, in this time and place in the South, she felt she would have been forever tainted to have been involved in such a sordid love triangle. The fact that the other woman was black pushed her over the edge. It's not the way that Harper Lee wants us to go, but she's showing us the extremes, the intensity of perception of and how people worry about their perception of the people with whom they live. It's a disturbing scene, and it's kind of talked about casually. But it also gives this flavor of, well, this is kind of the way it is. So, all right, Jem says that mixed, right, in quotes, mixed children are sad because they don't belong anywhere. We're remembering our schematics, right, again, from the social and economic food chain, right? What does he mean? Is having a sense of belonging important in life? That's a good reflection question. Explain your thoughts. Okay, so because the kids are half white and half black, they aren't accepted fully by either group, or actually at all. It's true that people need to have a place where they feel connected to other people, I think. Whether it through friendship or in families, right? But even though some people prefer isolation, humans need to be together. We like the comfort and security of a group, but also man was not made to be alone, as we're seeing, right? In the life that we're living right now. It's important to have a place to belong, but it's also important to be willing to accept the others who are in the same place with you, right? It's going to be a great reflection question. Okay. 5. Judge Taylor's appearance and his ability are two different things. What comment might the author be making in building the judge this way? I like the way that question's phrased, building the judge this way. Just like the architecture is built in a certain way. That's what authors do. They build things to be able to show what they're thinking. So Judge Taylor is another example of someone being different from the way he appears to be on the outside. We've had this theme running throughout the book, as discussed in earlier chapters, with who? Who else is different on the outside than they are on the inside? That's right, Boo Radley. There's also Mr. Avery, and of course Atticus, who is not even really appreciated by his own children, at least in the beginning, right? All right, number 6, chapter 16, number 6. Symbolically, what does the physical structure of the courthouse show us about the people of Macomb? So Scott explains that the mishmash of styles, the mixing, the blending, although they don't really blend very well, shows that people of Macomb are determined to preserve the past, even if the result is ugly and doesn't fit together very well with the new ways or the new style of doing things. So obviously she's talking about a lot more than architecture here, right? So that's going to be a good symbol to go back and look at. That the way that Macomb behaves and acts can be seen even in the way that it's physically, structurally built. All right. Number 7, why didn't Atticus tell his children that he had to defend Tom Robinson? That he was appointed by the court and didn't really have a choice about taking the case? So it's true that Atticus is assigned the case, but he also wants to be the one to defend Tom, and he wants to do the best job that he can. If he said that he was only representing Tom because he had to do it, that would be just what? That'd just be an excuse. And Atticus is not a man who makes excuses. So by cutting out this part of the situation and his conversations with his kids, coffee. He's showing that he's choosing to do the right thing in a difficult situation. And that's the lesson that he wants to teach. To do anything else would lessen the effectiveness of the message, and it wouldn't be true to his character. All right, number 8. Why did the 4 men give up their seats for Jem, Scout, Dill, and the Reverend Sykes? What does this show us? The men up in the balcony designed for the African Americans give up their great seats because of the Reverend's request to do so. This shows that the community respects their religious leader. It also shows that the African American community respects Atticus's children and understands that this trial is something that they should see. They understand more about these kids than the other people of the town do, don't they? I think a lot of it goes back to them going with Calpurnia, right? That was a good scene to set up this scene now, okay? Maybe the children will be the next generation to take everyone another step closer to justice. That's what we're hoping for, right? It's definitely what Atticus is hoping for. All right, number 9. As the examination begins, Atticus's table is bare. What does this show us? These things don't just happen, right? The author's doing them for a reason. There are, of course, different ways to read it, but most people see this as a sign of Atticus's intelligence, his preparation, and his confidence. Atticus doesn't need encyclopedias or reference materials or a hastily scribbled notes, he's not nervous, right? Because Atticus knows what he's about. He knows what he's doing. And he's using it for the right reasons. He knows this case inside out. He knows exactly what he's going to say and do. It's just a matter of saying and doing it, right? Okay, so that's the review stuff I have. Excuse the reading. I'm going off of my own notes. And also excuse the fact that, wow, I look so tired. I went out for a walk and I really just wanted to get this put together for you. Today is the last day of the quarter. If you have anything that you want to submit to me, submit it by 3 o'clock. I'm going to lock the grades at 3. And I hope that you guys are doing well. Please, if you have any questions about the Zoom or whatever, email me. And I look forward to seeing all of you at 1 o'clock tomorrow, okay? Also for tonight, read chapter... I'm not looking at the camera. For tonight, read chapter 17. And I will post the reflection questions. I've got, there are only 8 of them for this chapter, okay? For chapter 17. All right, take care. God bless. Be well. Our Lady of Guadalupe bless these girls and anything they're carrying in their lives, on their hearts, in their minds.